Welcome, everybody, to the Chinchilla Picking Podcast. It is February 9th, 2025 at 4:03 p.m. My name, as always, we hope to be entertaining, educational, and uplifting because we want everyone to make money. My name is David Underwood, and I am joined by the one and only, the Baron of Bonds himself, Brandon Beaver. Brandon, how are you?
I'm good. Hold on. I'm still getting set up. I totally forgot my mic.
So you're going, well, yeah, you're just using your computer's mic? Wow.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. We are good. We're good now.
If you're listening, tell me if that sounds better.
180 episodes, and I came to this one unprepared. I don't 188, I think, actually, now.
Is this really the only one you've come unprepared to?
Yeah, okay. So I did. There's a couple of them that I completely went through the entire episode without hooking up my mic, but it's been like 100 episodes since I've done that. So,
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. Well, I tell you what, it is Super Bowl Sunday.
yeah.
Super Bowl Sunday, Brandon. What's your any big takeaways on the game tonight?
You know what? I didn't even realize the Super Bowl was this Sunday until like Friday. And
Really?
yeah, girlfriend did all the shopping for it and everything. After the Dallas Cowboys screwed everything up for this season and for seasons to come, I stopped completely paying attention to the NFL. 100%. I think if the Detroit Lions were in it, I would have paid more attention because kind of rooting on them to win that Super Bowl. Um, finally for them, but yeah, I'm completely out of it. I can tell you right now. I like the quarterback for the Eagles. As being a Dallas Cowboys fan, I obviously don't root for the Eagles in any way. Um, but who you got? I'm thinking the Chiefs win again.
Okay, I tell you what. So, all right. Well, Kalshi, Kalshi, that sports betting app, not sports betting app, a betting app that bets on everything and anything. One of the things it has on here is, will it rain in New Orleans on the big game on Sunday?
My
Yes or
goodness.
no? So I mean, there's a lot of things they have Kansas City versus Philadelphia, who's going to win. They have that going on. There's a lot of betting on here. There's how much government spending will Trump and Elon cut this year? There's an actual bet on whether or not they'll get at least 250 billion or at least 500 billion cut. Will Elon Musk leave the DOGE before 2026 or before the end of the DOGE? Will PBS and NPR be defunded with something that's being bet on right now? It's crazy. Crazy.
You know what? The thing is, though, if they could lose their government funding and they say they'll still exist, so if that's the case, then oh well. But we're not here for that.
We are not here for that, but
I got a little bit of I got a little bit more small talk here though because I just had to do this sleep test over the past couple of days to test to see if I have sleep apnea. And as I've been saying this to people, I realized that about I would say one out of every three people that I know have gone through this and have a CPAP machine, which is a little mind-boggling to me because sleep apnea is something that has a lot of side effects, right? And can be lethal. Um, it's weird to me because when I was growing up, I feel like this wasn't a thing back in the 90s. And I also feel like one out of every three people did not die of sleep apnea. And it's kind of blowing my mind a little. I'm going through this right now. I might have to get a CPAP machine, but I'm starting to wonder if these things are overprescribed.
I disagree. Majority of people with sleep apnea machines have a weight problem and or obese. That's majority of them. They also have other underlying health conditions. I believe it is I'm with I actually agree with RFK that this is an American diet issue and problem.
I get that, but we had
and we
that
need to
same
fix
problem.
that.
But we also had that same problem 30 years ago. Most of the people that I knew growing up were also overweight. Then
Not like it is today.
I'm skeptical, but
Look at
I'm
the
going to do
rates.
what my doctor says.
Look at the rates, Brandon. Look at the rates over time. They've gone up.
Really?
Yeah, RFK is correct. The obesity rates, the health issues related to weight issues, has gone up year over year over year in America.
I, I guess I don't
We
know,
are a
man.
fat nation.
Yeah, we are, but you know what I'm a huge aficionado of company history, right? If you listen to the show, you know that's what I like. I like to look at the history of companies and corporations in the United States, and I've done the same thing sort of with food companies, right? The amount of processed foods that the baby boomers had was just wild. The TV dinners, all that stuff. When those things were first invented, I mean, that was like everybody was eating processed food constantly or fast food, and nobody really knew how bad it was for you.
All right,
And
so
high fat and everything like that,
you're
you know?
talking baby boomers. You're talking 1950s,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, 50s and even yeah, even there's a I
So
mean
the
the
50s,
1950s, the invention of the TV dinner was a huge deal.
right? And what happened after the 50s and 50s on?
Obesity and cancer,
Okay. So
but
the
also
invention
forms
of
of
the
cancer.
TV dinner and quick processed food with the microwave and oven, now all of a sudden you have obesity rates skyrocket
Yeah.
over the decades.
Yeah.
Before that, you didn't have a lot of that
Right. Well, and then
because
we
you
were
had to
also
make food from scratch.
in high poverty too. Poverty is a great weight loss drug.
Look at pictures and video before 1900,
Yeah,
before the Great
I know.
Depression. So
I know.
you could take poverty and you could throw it out the window
That's not
before
true.
1900. Before 1900.
Yeah, that's not true. I mean, a lot of people were poor back then.
Yeah, but I don't want to. I don't want people to use the Great Depression as a scapegoat for saying that everybody had processed food, and during the Depression they just had no money, and that's why we were thin back then. No,
Well, no, I mean,
the nation was thin a long time before the
yeah, I
Great
agree.
Depression.
I agree. I agree.
That's my point I'm making. I'm not trying to be so callous to that, but I'm just making the point.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Well, we could go through a whole history, but what we're here, we're for stocks.
I mean,
And
so
I'm
you
not a
look at
doctor.
that. Yeah, we are here for stocks, right?
Yeah,
So you bring up CPAP machine, you bring up the weight loss drug. I invested in Novo Nordisk last year and made a ton of money. Well, not last
yeah,
year, the year before, right?
yeah.
And I made a ton of money off weight loss drug. But now Novo Nordisk, I saw headwinds. I got out of it. They went down a ton. After I said there's too many headwinds, too many lawsuits, too many things going bad with that. But Eli Lilly's drug is still going strong, and that's the one that everybody's prescribing. And Eli Lilly is coming out with even another version of their weight loss drug, which that one I'm questioning, right? And
Yeah.
here's the reason why, since we're on about stocks and investments and health and industry, and I wasn't even going to cover Eli Lilly, but I've done research in this. I know this off the top of my head. This is just for you listening right now. This is off the top of my head, off the cuff. I did not plan this. So Eli Lilly's first drug, we've covered this. It was for diabetes and other actual conditions. They did not make it for weight loss. The invention was not for weight loss. Weight loss was a side effect of taking the drug, right?
Mhm.
And it turned into, now it's a weight loss drug. Zepbound is the most commonly prescribed weight loss drug in the United States today. Eli Lilly's leading the forefront on this. The thing I question is they're coming out with a specifically targeted drug, just specific for weight loss, that combines other um, reactions within the body that are meant to stimulate weight loss, other than the one that they accidentally stumbled upon with the GLP inhibitor. And
Okay.
so that makes me start to question, okay, before it was a drug you created for diabetes and other illnesses, right? Mainly diabetes. And weight loss was a side effect. But now we're trying to target this specifically and we're adding in different chemicals and it has different chemical reactions in the body. I want to see the clinical trials on these because that makes me question. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I get the first one. That it's a great drug. I've talked about it on the show many times. Great drug, does a lot of good for a lot of people out in America. But Frito Lay's, we talked about that. It went down in value because people thought that these weight loss drugs were going to make people buy fewer chips. Remember that?
Hmm.
That was those are actual articles written across the board by analysts all over the stock market during that time that it caused Frito-Lay stock to drop almost 10%, Brandon, 10% drop because they thought people would eat less chips and Pepsi.
Yeah, I remember, and I said it was an overreaction.
It was an
Yeah,
overreaction,
it was.
yes. Yeah, but yeah, is there a health crisis? Yes. What are we going to do about it? What is RFK going to do about how do you invest? Where do you put your money if you believe that the new administration and RFK is going to come in and hammer down processed food? Do you divest from General Mills and the cereal companies, the ones that have the most processing and color dyes in their foods because now they have to change everything in their ingredients and recipe? Or, do you look for maybe there's a healthier options of companies that you can invest with? You know?
Yeah, I unless you could find a dividend king in there, I wouldn't invest in those anyways. I mean, they're so here, it's slow. It's just a slow growth industry at this point, and it's incredibly, competitive. I know with General Mills, you've got some brand equity there, which provides a little bit of a moat, but it is so competitive in the food industry now with the tariffs and everything. If we pass more tariffs on Europe and China, Asia altogether, and we may wind up if we go protectionist in that area, maybe they get a little bit bigger of a moat, but I'm not touching them.
Well, yeah, but that's the question: is like, where are we going with this current administration in regard to the food companies? Mondelez, that's a huge food company. What's going to happen with them? Because they're huge on, oh, now my mind's going blank. Genetically altered, like corn. What do we call
Yeah,
that again? There's a name for it though.
yeah, I know what you're talking about,
I'm
but I
draw
can't.
I'm drawing a blank
I'm
here,
drawing a blank.
right when we're recording podcast. But
Yeah,
GMOs, genetically modified.
who knows?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's GMOs. So they're big on GMOs, but if RFK and a new administration gets what they want, they're drastically going to cut back on GMOs. They're going to drastically cut back on certain types of processing. Definitely the food color dyes, the food dyes. All those things are going to start to be cut. Mondelez is going to have to drop in stock.
I would think
That
so.
stock
I
price
would
is
think
going to
so.
drop. I
I would
would
think
say.
so. Yeah.
I would 100% say. So I mean, like, do you short
No.
Mondelez already
Don't do
expecting?
that either. Don't do that either because we don't know. We're all doing this based off politics right now. This is estimated based off politics. There's no fundamentals and what me and you were talking about. And we have no idea what the politics are going to have as far as an effect goes on those fundamentals. So I just don't touch them.
Okay. But then this all has ripple effects throughout, and it goes as far as how many CPAP machines are available in the United States, and that's part of the ripple effect of the diet and us treating these things instead of fixing the cause.
I
You know, I
agree, but I do wonder if, we seem to go on these kicks on certain things where we kind of have like a little bit of a mania, even when it comes to health, right? And I'm wondering if the CPAP machines and sleep apnea and stuff like that, if we're a little bit overdoing it. It's
still
possible.
no sleep apnea is a real thing. So I have
I
sleep
know it's
apnea.
real. I'm not saying it's not real. It's just odd to me. I mean, it's kind of like with ADD and ADHD. Everybody has those now, but somehow nobody, half the people had them in the 90s. And I kind of wonder if we overprescribe, if we jump the gun on those things too. Again, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know. It's
So
just I wonder.
let me give you some personal insight. First of all, in the number one, the CPAP machines and usage of that. Like, let's start there. Is having sleep apnea is a real thing. CPAP really helps, but I'll give a little story myself. 2023, I lost a lot of weight, right?
Hmm.
During that year. But then I started having injuries, and then I decided to go ahead and finally get my shoulder surgery. And I was out for a bit with shoulder issues, and I couldn't work out, and I put all the weight back on I had lost. So here I am back now at the gym finally again. I'm back. I've been back, what, 3 months at the gym, about the ish, and I've been losing weight again. I'm already down 20 pounds. My diet is much better. But the first time I lost all the weight back in 2023, my CPAP machine was I was getting, when I would take naps, I was starting to have less and less fewer issues because I was eating cleaner and I was losing the weight.
Yeah.
And when I was eating cleaner and losing the weight, when I would take naps without the CPAP machine, I was not having issues.
Right.
And it made a big effect on the actual on my own personal use of CPAP machine and whether or not I had sleep apnea. So I can talk from my personal experience in that regard and tell you that it's a real thing. If you just lose the weight and eat healthier and eat cleaner and cut out all these bad things from your diet, it will make a difference. Second is ADHD. Yes, I agree with you. It is overprescribed. A lot of people claim to have it, or they just have it because of some other nervous tick or something.
I've
I
been diagnosed with it, and I question it even with myself.
Yeah, when were you
So,
diagnosed? Last 10 years or something, right?
yeah, yeah, it was probably about 2012.
So let me delve in here and talk about my age for a moment. Back in 1986 was the first time I was diagnosed with ADHD. At that time, the doctors say we don't give medicine for this. Your
Yeah,
son just needs to learn how to deal with his issues.
yeah,
So 1986 was when I was diagnosed the first time.
right.
I've been diagnosed again multiple times ever since by different doctors, but I still have never taken medication for it. Some people take medication for it, works for them. I've just learned to deal with life without medication, and I've been very successful in life and everything I've done. I've accomplished many things I don't talk about on the show, but Brandon, you know about them. It's just you can do it with, you can do it without. You can learn how to, live your life. So that's a choice. Sleep apnea, I believe you need if you are having it. There's a Joe Coy comedy show, and I love Joe Coy as a comedian. He did a stand up, and it was not his most recent one, but the one before that, I believe. And it was like 2022, maybe 2020, when he did the release the stand up, and he did some jokes on sleep apnea, and it was hilarious. And you should watch his if you have it, it'll make you laugh. But yeah, it's a real thing. You are choking.
Yeah, I know.
Realistically, you are choking in the middle of the night if you need a sleep apnea, a CPAP machine.
Yeah,
Without
well, I mean, so like I wouldn't even have known myself that I needed to possibly go see the doctor about this. Except for that my girlfriend who lives with me has been noticing it for years and then just finally got me to be able to go. Years of her telling me, you need to go see the doctor for this. You need to go see the doctor for this. And then I made an appointment back in January for something completely different. And she said, if you don't promise me now, you're going to tell your doctor about this and I'm coming with you. And I was like, fine, I'll say something. But it's just interesting to me that ever since I got the sleep test scheduled, everybody's been telling me, like, I would say it was just about one out of every three people that I've talked to have said, yeah, I went through that and I have a CPAP machine. And I'm like, man, I wonder, because when I was growing up, I grew up in an environment where a lot of adults that I knew were overweight, and not a single one of them had a CPAP machine. Maybe they didn't talk about it, but I mean, and
they were
it's
different back then
possible.
too.
And
They were actually like machines back then. Now you can get a very small one, slips over your nose, doesn't cover your mouth. You don't need a big Vader mask. You could get very small ones that just do that and work just fine.
yeah,
So I mean, it's a lot different, and a
different.
lot of people did die from sleep apnea back in the day too.
I just didn't hear about it then.
No,
Yeah,
correct.
you just thought it was a heart attack in your sleep, and you didn't
You
know
just
why.
stop breathing in your sleep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so maybe you're right. I don't know. It seems like it's a lot to me right now. And
Well, we're
anytime
coming full
something,
circle, and I believe RFK is right, and that's my
any,
personal belief.
any time in society where something seems to be a lot more than it once was, we seem to always be on this pendulum back and forth with things, and we always seem to overreact. And we do the same thing in the stock market. So I can bring this circle right back around. Here in the stock market, we do the same thing where we go on these manias or these kicks in society where 10 years later we look back at it and we think Yeah, we overdid that. We
Talking
definitely,
about that, can we lead this into my point here, and then we get to you second, if you don't mind?
yeah,
Because my whole point is what happened recently in the last 2 weeks, right? I had this not huge, but I had this presentation to give on this podcast today about what happened the past 2 weeks, and it's all about overreacting.
yeah,
And did we overdo this? And in our group chat this past week, I mentioned to you, Brandon, and the other three gentlemen, and then or two gentlemen, I forget how many people we have in it. And I said, hey, I'm buying this because, or I think I told you guys I was thinking about buying it, but I did buy it. Um, and I just thought it was undervalued. But and what I'm going to talk about here is DeepSeek and NVIDIA, right?
yeah.
So let me talk about a few things here. There's so much to talk about this, so much. And I have all these things pulled up right now, but I'm going to start with this first. It came out this today on CNBC.com. Came out today, February 9th at 12:29 p.m. And this was the author is Arjun Karpal. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. If not, I apologize. The headline reads DeepSeek's AI model is the best work out of China, but the hype is exaggerated. Google DeepMind CEO says, right? So let's read in some of this article. So I have numerous things to quote from over the next like 10, 15 minutes, however long it takes to get through all this information, Brandon. And I'll be stopping, letting you get some thoughts in here and there. But DeepSeek's AI model is the best work, quote, is probably the best work, quote unquote, from Dennis Hassabis, the CEO of Google DeepMind, right? This is what he
Right.
quoted saying on Sunday when he was being interviewed. DeepSeek came out and had one of the biggest sell-offs in history in the tech market in one day, and just because of how cheaply they were saying it was being made and what it can do. So the Google's DeepMind CEO said that DeepSeek can do extremely good engineering, and it changes things on a geopolitical scale. However, from a technology point of view, Hassabis said it was not that big of a change. Despite the hype, this is a quote from him. Despite the hype, there is no actual new scientific advance. It's using known techniques in AI. He said that the hype's been exaggerated a little bit. And he went in to say that Google's Gemini 2.0 flash models, which Google released this week to everyone, are way more efficient than DeepMind's models. DeepSeek claims around its low cost in chips may have been questioned by experts who think the cost of development for the Chinese firm model is way higher. He went in to talk more about he thinks AGI will eventually be. That's artificial general intelligence, or when AI becomes smarter than humans and is able to grow on its own. He said that we're probably 5 years or something from that, and the implications are huge for society. But in the article and in his interview, he says it's not that impressive. And this is Google's DeepMind CEO. Maybe he has to say that to pump up his own AI. So that's where I question that. Like, is he just saying this to make, hey, Google is not concerned about this. It's not that great of work. They just kind of threw this together, yada, 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 right?
Right.
So that could be something. But let's go into something else here. Another article. This one came out again this morning at 6:57 a.m. On the Reuters Newswires. No listed author. But the headline reads, amid DeepSeek frenzy, Chinese companies detail the use of AI, right?
Hmm.
So Chinese automaker Great Wall Motor and Chinese leading telecoms providers are integrating the AI model released by DeepSeek into their offerings. The latest Chinese companies looking to capitalize on the startup's breakthrough and attention. So, separately, Chinese Ministry of Industry and Information Technology said on Saturday that the country's three largest telecom companies, China Mobile, China Unicom, and China Telecom, were looking to promote the inclusive application of the latest AI technology and were working with DeepSeek open source model. So DeepSeek's AI platform, which is going to be used in all these Chinese companies, the government's behind it, everybody's behind it. They're ecstatic about it. On Sunday, two listed companies who had been touted by investors as potential beneficiaries of DeepSeek's lower cost model cautioned investors their business outlook had not changed. This reminds me of it was at AMC and GameStop. This reminds me of
Yeah.
that. And here's why. Here's why. The companies, so you go further down in this article, it says that the companies that they're talking about that are announcing their DeepSeek using the AI model and everything, they jumped 49% between Wednesday and Friday, right? 49% jump in stock price. Let's go back up to what I just said. I'm going to reread it again. The two companies who had been touted by investors and potential beneficiaries of DeepSeek's lower cost model, this is the ones that jumped 49%, caution investors and quote unquote, their business outlook had not changed. Meaning they're saying nothing's changed about our business. This is not going to affect our business one little bit, but a 50% jump in value.
Unbelievable. And
It's
this is why it's often best to just sit on your hands and do nothing and let the chips fall where they may, and then let the smoke settle and then figure out where you're going to go from there.
everybody's fear of missing out, Brandon. We want to trade 24/7. We want, access to stocks all the time. This is a side effect of that.
Maybe we
Side-
do. Maybe we do need more ADHD medication.
right? Another statement from them in a statement, it said the business effect of DeepSeek rollout and any impact on the company's future were both uncertain at best. This is
Absolutely.
this is what it says. But I mean, these shares are jumping 33% for the. It goes on to list other companies that had like a 30% jump, a 25% jump, a 40% jump, just because they're being listed with
So,
DeepSeek in
so
headlines.
I want to know actually those two companies now. And I might put them on my watch list, not because of the DeepSeek thing, not because of that at all, but because they have honest management. That is actually, no, seriously, like that's like when a company does that and jumps out and says, "Hey, you're overreacting. Don't pump our share price up like this because you're probably going to regret it." That's honest.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
that's good. And Tim Cook does that for Apple a lot, which I really like. Disney just released a warning that we're probably going to shed some streaming subscribers modestly this coming quarter, which I like the fact that they did that. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm going to
Honesty,
talk
it
about
goes
it
a
later.
long way when you're
Honest. Yeah.
talking about your headwinds and what's going on. Yeah, 100% agree. I'm not done though. I'm not
Okay.
done. No. And these are all about DeepSeek AI and NVIDIA AI and all this stuff, but they're all different things. So moving on to the next thing, right? I'm going to hit you with all this information. So this one, and now you can find this on lots of different platforms, lots of different articles, not just the company I'm quoting from here. This is an article written on KrebsOnSecurity.com. That's KREBS on security.com. You can find this lots of places, more reputable places if you that's what you're looking for. I actually like KrebsOnSecurity.com, but lots of other places have the exact same information. So I did not just pick this because it favors what I'm trying to say. This information, if you just straight Google it, you could. There's CNN articles, there's other articles, that you can find the same information on. But let me get into the information. I like the way they word it in this article, right? And that's why I'm quoting from it. So new, and this was came out on February 6, 2025. And the headline for this one says experts flag security privacy risk in DeepSeek AI app. So DeepSeeks remain among the top three free downloads for Apple and Google devices since their debut on January 25th, 2025. But experts are starting to caution many of DeepSeek's design choices. Now that it's been out for a little bit, now we can finally get some people who have gone in there and looked at the program, looked at the app, and broken it down, and they're ready to criticize it, right? So here's what we're looking at, right? DeepSeek rapid rise caught the attention of mobile security firm Now Secure. It's a Chicago-based company that helps clients screen mobile apps for security and privacy threats. In a teardown of DeepSeek app published out today, so that was when this article came out, Now Secure urged organizations to remove the DeepSeek iOS mobile app from their environments immediately, citing security concerns. Here's what they found. You ready?
Yeah.
So what they're doing is they're doing some very. This is a quote from the Now Secure company, right? Now Secure founder Andrew Hogue. He says they're doing some very interesting things that are on the edge of advanced device fingerprinting. It goes beyond what iOS defaults to, which is customer names followed by the type of device, going on past that. Device information shared combined with the user's internet address and data gathered from mobile advertising companies could be used to de-anonymize, meaning if you're anonymous, it's going to make let everybody know who you are, what device you're on, what your server you're on, all this information. All of the DeepSeek iOS app Now Secure is warning everybody. The report notes that DeepSeek communicates with Volsagen. It's a cloud platform developed by, ready? TikTok, ByteDance. Although Now Secure said it wasn't clear if the data is just leveraging ByteDance's digital transformation cloud service or if the declared information share extends further between the two companies. So this could be created by TikTok or ByteDance because they're using all their servers to move the information back and forth. It's basically what he's saying. Here's another concern. Even more concerning. Now Secure says that the iOS app transmits device information, quote unquote, in the clear. So that means without any encryption whatsoever to encapsulate the data. This means data being handled by the app could be intercepted, read, and even modified by anyone at all in the world who has access to any of the networks that carry the app's traffic. The DeepSeek iOS app globally disables app transport security, which is the iOS platform level protection and prevents sensitive data. It disables it so that it will not work. Hogue says the app does selectively encrypt portions of the responses coming from DeepSeek servers. I could go on. You get the point I'm making here with this about the security concerns. Now, if ByteDance can be shut down by the U.S. Congress, how long before DeepSeek shut down? With this information coming out just last week, coming out about DeepSeek, how long before they're shut down? It's already came out. I believe it was either Friday or Saturday. All U.S. government employees were told that they have to remove DeepSeek from all their phones and mobile devices immediately. And so this information is going to be moved fast. You're probably going to see some action on DeepSeek immediately on this. Brandon, your thoughts on the security issues?
Can they get your bank account information?
I probably.
If they could do that, then that's what I'm worried about. I don't care if they know where I'm at. I mean, everybody in the world knows where I'm at now. I've got apps that tell everybody in my family where I'm at, that track my
It's more than
location.
just that,
Government
man.
knows where I'm at.
If I know your server and I know your phone information, your phone name and everything, I can pretend I'm you and hack onto your server.
There's all kinds of implications to that too, especially if
And
they
it's
can get
blocking the Apple iOS defense, which is the biggest sell that Apple has over Android, which is their security. It disables the security of the Apple system.
Yeah, so I'm surprised that Apple hasn't blocked it yet.
I'm sure it's coming.
Yeah, they better.
I'm sure it's coming, right?
Yeah.
So, having said all that, ready? That was a whole bunch of news about DeepSeek. Overhype in China. I believe you're going to see a sell-off, especially if once more people get use of this information about the security risks. It's already being banned by government workers on their mobile devices. It's going to be banned everywhere here very shortly. It could be ByteDance who paid for this all that we know of. Who knows? That's just me being a conspiracy theorist there. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, so I'm not going to. But there's so much here. So coming back, how does this affect the AI companies that took a hit, right? You know, Amazon took a hit. NVIDIA took a hit.
Google.
Meta took a small hit, right? Everybody took a hit, but then Meta jumped right back the same day, right?
Yeah.
So everybody took a hit, right? So let's ask, what are they doing about AI in regards to this? Well, you heard the Google Gemini CEO getting on there talking about what his plans are, and he's not concerned about DeepSeek one little bit. Here's an article that just came out last week, and it's on CNBC, and this talks about it. It came out on Saturday, February 8th, 2025 at 8 a.m. The headline reads, Tech Mega Caps plan to spend more than $300 billion in 2025 as AI race intensifies. Over $300 billion is what they're planning to spend. After they saw this DeepSeek come out and say we could do it for 6 million, basically they looked at it, they looked at the technology, and they said, "Nah, we're doing it our way because it's better." Because don't you think that if Google CEO could do the exact same thing for $6 million instead of spending, $80 billion, he would do it for six. He's running a business
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Well,
break it down. Go ahead, real quick, and
and you
then
have
I'm
to
gonna
figure
break it
out, he'd have to figure out how to do it.
down.
I mean, he probably could, but I mean, how many times have you seen other companies come up and take, big companies by surprise? Just in any industry, I'm thinking Netflix and Blockbuster, for example. Blockbuster thought they were all good and um, they were going to hold their market share, and of course, they lost all to Netflix. And that's a completely different story. But I'm just saying, like in any industry, that happens.
Yeah, that's apples and oranges because that wasn't really a technology. It was a technology advance. It was just using technology. They didn't create the technology.
Yeah,
They were
I
just
get
using the
that.
technology that they
And in
had.
that sense, yeah, it is apples and oranges, but I'll just defend myself by saying that it happens all the time in every industry in every sector.
Yeah,
That somebody figures out how to do something for cheaper and for better. Because when you're a smaller company competing with the larger companies, that's what you have to do. You have to figure out how to do it for cheaper to
right.
compete. And I got to tell you, I'm a little disappointed actually, even though we both thought that this was probably an overreaction. I'm disappointed in this because I was really hoping for a cheaper, more efficient way to go about artificial intelligence.
Right. So unfortunately, it's not cheaper as of right now. So
Yeah,
let's talk about what they're spending here, right?
right.
Get into these numbers because that's what's in this CNBC article here. Amazon has by far the biggest spending coming in for this year. They said they were going to spend over $100 billion this year alone on just expanding its AI, especially for Amazon Web Services. They call it a once in a lifetime business opportunity. They think both the business customers, shareholders will all be happy in the medium to long term that they're pursuing this. So they believe it's a positive even after this. They're saying it's going to make their shareholders happy even after DeepSeek. They say that this is the right way to go after all this. So I keep saying that because DeepSeek's been out, and they're still saying, no, this is the right way to do it. This is the way to make the most money. Microsoft said it would allocate $80 billion this year. Alphabet's is going to spend around $75 billion this year. So there's a ton of money being spent this year, right? Mark
Right.
Zuckerberg is saying that his AI capex budgeting at 60 to 65 billion for this year. It's going to be a defining year for AI, is what Mark Zuckerberg said. So there's a lot of money being spent this year. So let's get to the company that I in our group chat said I was buying this past week based off the lows, right? Brandon, you know which one I'm talking about, but our listeners, I'm sure they have figured it out by now, but it was Nvidia. I went
Hmm.
ahead and bought in. I got in at 118. I'm holding this one. I believe I'm already up almost 10% already. That would be good enough to sell. I don't think it's going to hold on Monday morning though. We'll see. It might hold. It might jump up even more because right now the open interest as of February 7th is that a total option volume of 52 million. This is Thursday's option volume, 52 million contracts on Thursday with 5.24 million calls and 4.4 million puts just on the video alone. And, Palantir, another contributor to all this cloud services and everything else, skyrocketed the past month. They've had a great month at that company. I believe this is all positive news for companies like Nvidia that these Amazon and everybody else is spending billions and billions and billions of dollars. It's going to be a good year for Nvidia. I bought in, and I'm going to take about 20% gain. That's what I'm hoping for here in the short term, and take that to the bank. That would put me very, very much in the run in to beat last year single handedly down already, and just not even they're not even what 2 months in. and
Yeah.
I'm already pushing a lot of good returns so far, just based
Nice.
off of some money I made off of Cooler and a few other ones so far this year.
Nice.
But Nvidia, I'm buying Nvidia, and even at 129, I still think it's a buy. It's going to go back to 140 again.
You're doing it as a swing trade
A
and not
swing
as a
trade,
long-term
yes.
investment. Okay.
No, no. Swing
Okay.
trade, I believe that it's going to go back to 140.
Okay.
I will probably sell before then, but it will go back to 140.
You're probably right.
So your thoughts on all that information I gave you, and would you buy back into some of these ones that got beaten up, like GE Vernova got beat up off that DeepSeek news? It dropped a ton. It's already almost made all of its money back. Would you buy it and take the other last little 5 to 10% gain on that to get back where it was beforehand?
Yeah, G Vernova would probably be my pick out of all of them.
Because I would too. I feel like that's going to easily make that money back. Nobody's going to not. We're still going to have. We're still going to need these power plants to be built, and we have all these electric vehicles where we're trying to run out. I know Google pulled back from its Waymo division and its autonomous driving vehicles a little bit. Yes, they did, but we're still going to have electric vehicles being run out, and we need that electrical power grid up and running. So GE Vernova still stands to make good money.
Google took a nice hit too, so I'm still. I mean, I own it. I've owned it for a long time. I'm
You and me both.
just thinking about buying more of it.
You know,
It's on my mind. It's a
I
possibility this week that I buy more.
so when it took its big hit, right, this past week, my daughter had just recently got some more cash in from some dividend stock that she owns this past week, which you know which one I'm talking about, Brandon.
Yeah.
And she asked me where to invest that money, and because she wanted something different than the typical dividend company she buys. She owns a lot of Altria. She owns Art Capital. She owns Coney. And I recommended Google. I said, buy some shares of Google. They're beating up right now. It's a good time to get in and get some shares on the cheap.
Yeah, it's a nice safe bet. It's a price to earnings ratio of 23 right now.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
that's what I recommended to my own daughter. So if I'm willing to recommend that to my own daughter, guys, guess what? I would recommend that to you. If
Yeah.
you have some spare cash and you have no idea what to put it in, Google's a good one to put it in and let it sit.
I know this is a fallacy, and I know I'm falling for a fallacy here, but I've owned it for such a long time that I'm cost averaging up, and I don't know why there's such a mental block that I have, and I think a lot of other people have too about cost averaging up, right? But
If you believe in the company, you believe it still has a bright future, why not?
I agree. I agree. And that's just me being human and a mental mistake that I still make at this stage of the game in my investing, being this far into it. I still make that mistake of not wanting to cost average up, but I need just to bite that bullet and let that go because it's holding me back.
It's a pride thing. Is you want to say I'm up 80, whatever it is, I'm up 80%. And if you cost average up, you're gonna be like, oh, I'm up only 50% now.
Yeah,
It's a pride thing. You gotta
right,
let go of your pride. You
right.
gotta stay disciplined and motivated, and keep going on investments you believe in. If you kept buying Meta all the way up with extra money that you had in your account, would you have cost average up on Meta, Brandon? Yeah, you
Absolutely,
would have.
yeah,
But it would have been a safe bet. It's still moving higher, and it's still gonna move higher.
yeah,
So it would have been a safe bet to do the whole way up.
right.
There's nothing wrong with that at all.
I
You
agree.
do lose the pride and the ability to say I'm up 120%. Yay. My cost average is $1 and it's now over 100. Ha ha ha. Well, yeah, but at $100 a share, that company, this mythical company I'm talking about, could still be undervalued, and it could be a $200 company. So you
Right,
still have a lot of money to make.
right.
You, lose the pride. Let go of it. Who
Exactly,
who are you
exactly.
trying to impress? 90% of the people that 99% of the people in this world that you're trying to impress don't care.
They don't care at all.
They
And then
don't
when you talk
care.
about how great you're doing in stocks, it makes them mad anyways.
Yeah, they don't care. So
Yeah,
stop it.
yeah,
You just do the best financial decisions for you.
exactly. All right.
Anyway, I think you had something you wanted to talk about, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm actually, you said that, I told you I had a lot here. I am going to speed through this though, because I think we just had a very meaningful, good discussion and a timely discussion on DeepSeek or
Yes.
DeepSeek. Is it's Deep Seek, right?
Deep Seek.
Yeah, I
Deep
don't watch
Seek.
CNBC. I just read. So I don't know how to
I
pronounce it.
read too. I read too, but I watch it because I'm off on. I have nothing to do. I'm off of everything I'm relegated to do besides go to the gym on Monday and Tuesdays. I got nothing going on in my life on Monday and Tuesdays, and I watch NBC.
Man, see, you got it figured out though. This whole weekend thing's for the birds. Everybody else is on off on the weekend. So anything you do on a Saturday and Sunday, there's too many people. Everybody knows I don't like crowds, right? I got to go to grocery shopping on a Saturday. I'd much rather have my Mondays and Tuesdays off. You got it made. Unless there's card shows or something like that, or autograph signings. Those are always on Saturdays. So there's that.
What autograph? I mean, anyways, go into what you need to talk about.
Okay. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about Disney here because I got some good news and some bad news, and there's some things that I'm starting to run out of patience on. And I'm never the type of person that runs out of patience with a share price. I don't care that much about that because the fundamentals are what matters with a company, and the share price will follow, right? We all want to make money. That's great. So the share price is absolutely important, but the thing that matters the most is the fundamentals of a company. That's going to tell you where the share price is going to go. It could take a month, it could take a year. Who cares? But, anyways, so quarterly earnings came in pretty well for Walt Disney. Strong holiday box office performance from Moana 2. It surpassed a billion dollars. I think it was the fourth Disney movie to ever do that. So that $1 billion mark was awesome. The Experiences Group had a $75 million expense due to the launch of the Disney Treasure cruise ship. I think that's going to do well. They had a decline in theme park attendance and theme park revenue, which they blamed on hurricanes Helene and Milton in Florida. But I think they're making I don't think that's where you place the blame here. I don't think so. I mean, there's hurricanes in Florida just about every year now.
Don't they have theme parks in Asia, Europe, and California?
Yes.
I mean, I
So
know
there's
Disney
also
World's
that.
huge. That's
So
huge.
there's
Disney World's huge, but
absolutely,
like,
yeah. There's more to that decline than what is led on. So shares fell more than 1% early trading, and I think they just wound up being kind of flat. They did warn of a moderate decrease in subscribers to Disney Plus and Hulu because of price increases. Again, blaming price increases. Netflix is increasing prices. Netflix gained 19 million subscribers last quarter. So,
I saw $1.20 to my price increase. Don't care.
right. Well,
Doesn't bother me.
let me ask you this question. Do you have a lot of technical difficulties with your Hulu Live when you're watching, in particular, on-demand programming?
On-demand programming?
Yeah, so when you watch something that's like already recorded, so you're not watching live, but you go, say, for example, watch a
Oh,
Big Bang episode 7 from season 3 or something. Do you have any issues with that?
I don't. I hardly ever use it. The only thing I do that record live are Nebraska Cornhusker games on Nebraska Cornhusker fan, and I've watched a couple of them. They have not had issues. No.
So I watch a lot of TV, which is part of the reason why I need a CPAP machine. But I wind up using we wind up getting a lot of technical difficulties. Another thing that I noticed for Disney and Hulu is that you can go and you get the MetaQuest 3, right? Hulu.com I can watch live TV on, which is awesome. I can't watch the on-demand stuff on it for some reason. It doesn't work. Netflix works 100% of the time on the MetaQuest. Hulu does not.
Are you gonna watch the Super Bowl on MetaQuest?
We got food, so I'm probably gonna watch a part of it, but man, it's gonna be so difficult to eat food with a headset on my face, so probably not.
I'm gonna send you so many messages that the game's on just to annoy you to death
You
while
get
you're
so
in the
mad at
headset.
it. So here's my problem with Disney right now. So the price for the parks. So they did wind up actually having a revenue increase for the parks division, but it was mostly due to price increases. And that's becoming a little bit frustrating to me. One of the reasons why Bob Iger took back over was the Parks division was starting to suffer, and it seems to me like it's continuing to suffer. If you look at, for example, the affordability of going to a Disney theme park now is far and above the reach of many middle class Americans. I'm going to give you just one statistic here. Michael Eisner in 1980, I think it was six when he took over, he led Disney for 20 years. And he tried to increase the parking from $1 a day to $3 a day. And he ran into a lot of pushback from the board because they said you're pushing parking to $3 a day. That's too expensive. That's not what Walt Disney would have done. His vision is that everybody can afford to come here. What are you doing? Not a good idea. Today, parking is $30 a day. $30 a day, not 30. Well beyond what we've seen inflation since then, even. One day adult passes at Disneyland broke the $200 mark for the first time in October. It now costs $206 on most popular days of the theme park, more than $100 than the price of admission on the lowest cost day. Starting in late 2023, the company's own surveys, and this is from Wall Street Journal, by the way, of Walt Disney World and Disneyland guests found that the number of them planning return trips had tricked sharply down. Disney's domestic parks attendance increased 1% for the fiscal year ending in September, down from prior year's 6% growth. Per person spending on tickets, food, and merchandise at domestic parks increased about 3%, which is due to the price increasing. The Disney parks is 70% of Disney's operating income. That was up 41% from 2019 and 34.5% in 2018. So you see how this matters, right? This is 70% of their income. $4,266 is the average cost for a family of four for 1 week at Disney. $4,266. Now, I read an interview with this one guy he's a engineer from North Carolina. He used to take his family to Disney every single year. He stopped doing that. Now, last year, for the same amount of money that it takes him to go to Disney, he toured the Netherlands.
That yes, thank you. So yes, the cost of going to Disney, you could go take like 3 or 4 cruises. I mean two cruises. You could go toward the Netherlands. You could go to another country, Iceland. You could go visit London. You could travel to all kinds of different parts of the United States. There's a million other things you can do other than go to Disney. I mean, I'm sure it's a great experience. I haven't been to a Disney park in a long time. I'm sure it's an amazing experience and everything, but most everyday people will go into debt in order to pay for it, and that's not good for the U.S. economy. Well, I mean, it's good for the U.S. It's good for the U.S. economy, but that's not good for U.S. household debts.
Yeah, here's the thing. Profit declined 5% even with the price increases. So what's the purpose? What's the point? You're
Yeah,
increasing prices, your profit's going down. I liked the results for streaming, Hulu and Disney Plus. Again, 3 straight quarters of profitability. That's compared to, a year ago when it was losing money. That's
yeah.
awesome. There was a lot of good news here. These price increases and the amount that it costs to go to Walt Disney World is just way too much for most people. Most middle class families budget just over $2,000 for an annual vacation. So $4,266 way above and beyond that. So you're not going
Yeah,
to
that's low. I feel like $2,000 is low.
not if you're doing a road trip. I mean, me and you we fly. But if you're doing a road trip, even paying the gases and stuff, a lot of people just go and take a vacation here from Ohio to Myrtle Beach, and it doesn't cost that much to get there or stay there, you know?
Okay, yeah, I've done that, North Myrtle Beach, and yeah, it was okay, maybe 2,000, but then you spend a little bit more than that on food and things to do while you're there. Okay, yeah,
Yeah. So this is, I mean, it's just too much. I did like I said, the streaming. The streaming was profitable again this year.
The point. I want to get to the point. I want to get to the head of this discussion we're having here. Are you bullish or bearish on Disney based off of what you saw in the report this past week?
I'm gonna tell you I own it.
I know you do, but like, are you bullish or bearish going forward?
I'm neutral. I know you hate that, but there's ups and downs to this. The revenue growth here for the parks and entertainment division was based off price increases, which are not looking like they're going to be sustainable.
Well,
It's
I mean,
not
here
sustainable
you do.
long-term growth.
Let me break it down to a layman's turn, layman discussion here. You do price increases at the parks, but then attendance drops, so the total revenue is not enough to cover your overhead like you thought it would.
Right.
That's basically what happened. You thought that if you raise the price by $10, let's just do it for easy math purposes, when you had a million people coming, so that would make an extra $10 million in revenue, and that would cover and make you profitable. But then, 100,000 less people came, so now you're only bringing in, 9 million instead of 100 million. Then I mean, you see my point, like 900,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The point is, you're bringing in less money than you were planning on because fewer people are coming.
Yeah.
And so,
So
given that, do you think the sentiment's going to stay the same for Disney going forward into 2025? That, hey, I still can't afford that Disney vacation, so we're going to go somewhere else. And like you gave the example of the person touring the Netherlands. I mean, I've looked into trips recently this year that I'm going to be probably taking to Iceland or Nice, France again, and it's cheaper than
yeah.
a Disney all inclusive meal plan vacation. It's cheaper for me to go spend 5 days on the French Riviera than it is for me to do a Disney all inclusive meal plan vacation for a
Yeah,
family of
so
four.
so let me just break that down. It's cheaper for you to go to Venice in Italy or to go to China or to go to Japan and go see all of those little areas that are on that the boat ride that they have there, right? That takes you through
Yeah,
the it's a
yeah,
small world
yeah.
after all. You see all those little different ethnic groups and stuff. You can actually go to those countries for cheaper than it is to take that ride on that boat.
Yeah, so there you go. That's the takeaway. Haven't heard that. I'm glad that they're positive on as from if you're a shareholder perspective. I'm glad that Disney Plus is three quarters now positive growth. With Hulu, that whole streaming services division is growing and continue to be positive for them. That's good. But now the parks are losing. So
Yeah.
now Disney's still stuck in the same place, even with Bob Iger at the helm. Can Bob Iger turn the parks around? Do you believe in him that much, or do you sell, take your profit?
Yeah.
Because I know you are positive. I know where you bought in at Disney. I know you're positive right now. Do you take your profit, Brandon, and call it what it is?
I'm giving it one more quarter to make
Okay.
my decision. And here's the thing. I I've said that in the past, and then they came back with another positive quarter, and things look better, and so I held on to it. But I'm really like I'm losing patience with the way things are going with the Parks division.
Well,
Streaming is actually doing better, which is
yeah.
surprising because when Bob Iger took over, he said, "We're going to take this and we're gonna make the Parks division better and build off that again." But then instead, the streaming services have become profitable, which is great. Don't get me wrong, but it's just frustrating. The other thing that they did announce that I'm glad about the partnership for the streaming service that they were going to do with Warner Brothers and Fox has been trashed. They're not doing that anymore. And it didn't even make any sense for Warner Brothers to be a part of it anyways. So
Right.
they lost NBA streaming rights. What were they bringing to the table? Hockey?
No,
Dave, you
well, they
probably
have
watched
they
that. I
have
don't
some
know.
NBA streaming. They have hockey. They have college basketball. They have a lot of other avenues of streaming. And I only know this because I have Max. And I see the live events on Max all the time where, hey, you can watch this sporting event live. They have AEW wrestling.
Oh
They have
God.
those type of things. So,
Well, that's all things that ESPN has access to, anyways. That matters, excluding AEW wrestling, which does not matter. But anyways,
so All right. So, having said all that, Brandon, let's not hold our listeners hostage any longer. Let's give them our final thoughts.
Yeah, neutral on Disney. Buy Google, buy Vernova.
Nice. Fire very quick and to the point. I also believe by Vernova. You heard me what I said about NVIDIA. I believe Google's at a perfect spot to go ahead and purchase in and buy some. There's some great opportunities there. Tesla's still too high for me, even coming down almost $50 a share. I still am not buying it at this level. And I've bought Tesla many times and traded it many times over the years, and made a lot of money doing that. Bitcoin is currently sitting at 95,000, and dropping at the moment. That's if you are day trading Bitcoin, that's an opportunity to make some quick money there. A lot of things going on there in the markets, but that's what I'm looking at. I do not have the list of upcoming earnings this week. Sorry, for our listeners who love hearing that from me every single week, week in, week out. But you can always find that on Kiplingers, and they have upcoming earnings. That's where I typically go to find it. It's a good source. All
Okay.
right.
Awesome.
So, as always, we hope we've been entertaining, educational, and uplifting because we want everyone to make money. Have a good night.
Have a good night.